thing. Daphne Bridgerton is a moron. Daphne Bridgerton is an idiot. Daphne Bridgerton lost my respect the minute that she didn't choose Freddie Stroma. I mean, the prince. But also Freddie Stroma. Okay? That man is Cormac McLagan. That guy's the hot dude with the abs from Pitch Perfect. That guy has been the really hot douchey guy for a while. And he also doesn't just play the hot douchey guy, because in Bridgerton, he is charming. In Bridgerton, he is delightful. In Bridgerton, he's an absolute sweetie pie who you just know would like worship the ground Daphne walked on for the rest of her life. The queen was setting Daphne up with the guy. Because the queen is like, Simon ain't worth shit. Don't go for that guy. Don't do him. Don't have his babies. Go for my handsome, beautiful, adorable nephew. Look how perfect my handsome, beautiful, adorable nephew is. Go for my handsome, beautiful, adorable nephew, Freddie Stroma. And instead, Daphne Bridgerton is like, I'm in love with Simon. And I'm like, bitch, why? I don't care about the basis of friendship being perfect for a marriage, blah, 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 blah. What I care about is the fact that Shonda Rhimes was given time. Shonda Rhimes was given authority. Shonda Rhimes was given 1,000 separate ways to put Daphne and Simon together if she so chose. And the way that she decided to do it was A, having them bang in the courtyard. For whatever reason, how did Daphne know what sex is? How? She couldn't have. I'm annoyed. B. Shonda Rhimes was given so much time to figure out how Daphne could get a child without assaulting her husband. And instead, she still decided to keep that storyline for some godforsaken reason that no one can justify. No one can justify that. And literally, the hot prince would have given Daphne everything she wanted. A, he had to have heirs. He was gonna have heirs, and he had to have them, and he would have given her the cutest little heirs of all time. And instead she goes with the guy who doesn't want children. Yeah, he doesn't give her a reason, buddy, but you don't actually have to give anyone a reason for why you don't want to have kids. He's like, if we get married, we'll never have kids. And she's like, that's fine, I got it. And then she's like, I tricked you. Assault! And then they have children, and he magically forgives her, and we're supposed to believe that it's a happily ever after because they had one of their Shonda Rhimes speeches of, I burn for you, I want to be with you forever. And it's like, she assaulted him. She could have had babies with the hot prince, and also the hot prince was nicer to her. I said it. He was, okay? Simon was not gonna actually change for Daphne unless she forced it on him, and she literally forced it on him. The prince would have done anything. But like, yeah, no, I get it, because Simon's hotter. I understand. He is hotter. He is sexier. But it's the prince. Like, I'm the little girl who's like, I'm gonna be a prince, okay? So like, to this day, I'm gonna go for the prince character, even if he's the worst. Unless it's the Princess Bride, in which case you go for Wesley. But like, Simon's just a duke. He's not a pirate. Like, if you were a pirate, it would be a different story. But he's not a pirate. He's a duke. And you could have had a prince. Idiot. Here's the thing, I'm about to say something and I think a lot of people are gonna disagree with me. I really hope that this chocolate tastes good and doesn't taste like ass. I'm gonna be really sad if it tastes like ass. I don't think it was in character for Daphne Bridgerton to assault her husband. I don't, okay? I didn't think it was in character when I was reading the book. I didn't think it was in character when I was watching the show. I actually aggressively thought that they were going to change what happens in the show because it was so out of character. I really did. I really assumed that they were going to change it because it was so out of character for Daphne to decide that she was going to do something. Daphne, who, mind you, had punched out her assaulter at the beginning of the show and in the beginning of the book. In the book, her assaulter is still Bigglesby, whatever his name is. And like, but he's nice, and in the TV show he is not nice. But the thing is, both times she is brave enough to punch this guy out, so she knows what it is to be scared of someone taking advantage of you. So why would she take advantage of her husband? And here's the thing. I see what Julia Quinn and Shonda Rhimes were going for. I see how they thought they could con us into thinking it was okay? Because they were conning us. Because here's the thing. They thought that because A, it's Regency romance period, and Daphne doesn't know where babies come from or how babies are made. That Daphne, by finally figuring out, she's so smart, how babies are made because her husband refused to tell her, and it's technically kind of mostly his job to explain to his wife, hey, babies are made like this. You take the thing, and then you put it in the thing, and then, I stay in there, and I don't, pull out. Babies are made like that, okay? Cool. It could have been. I'm losing track of time because it's making me so mad, and also because I kind of made myself laugh with how I discussed how babies are made, because I don't know why I decided to say it that way. But here's the thing. I don't think it's in character for Daphne to find out how babies are made and see that he's been pulling out and then go, I'm just gonna wrap my legs around him. And in the book, it's while he's wasted. And in the show, it's while he's sleepy. And she's just gonna wrap her legs around him and not let go until everything's in there. And I'm just like, no. I have such a hard time believing. I have such a hard time believing it. And also, the number one thing that they teach you in health class as an adult in middle school and high school, and then remind you in college just in case you're too stupid and didn't listen the first couple of times, is that the pull-out method is not 100% effective. And the number one thing that many TV shows, including Friends, taught me is that condoms are only 99.8% effective. So, with those two things implied, instead of Daphne taking advantage, I was gonna say taking the strong stand she did, because that's definitely how Julia Quinn and Shonda Rhimes see it, and I'm very mad at them for it. Instead of Daphne taking advantage of her husband, it could have become this moment of her accidentally becoming with child because the pull-out method is not 100% effective. It could have been Simon accidentally staying in while he was a little too tired one night. And a little got in there, and his swimmers are strong. So and his swimmers are strong, so he, accidentally impregnated her that way. No, there was no reason it had to be assault. There was no reason it should have been assault. There were 16 ways around it. And again, Shonda Rhimes had changed so much of the book for the show that it should have been changed. It was expected to be changed because of how much that she changed for the show already. And instead, the number one thing that she decided to stay true to is that Daphne assaults her husband. And I refuse to believe that it would happen. I don't like it, so I'm gonna ignore it. I don't actually ignore it, but I'm gonna ignore, it makes me mad. I have T-Rex arms. I'm so mad I have T-Rex arms. So 1,600 ways around it. Every TV show in the known universe, especially sitcoms, finds a new way that the character who doesn't want to get pregnant ends up with child. It could have been done so easily. And instead, they do what they did. They know what they did. They did what they did. I'm mad about what they did. I'm upset. I'm gonna test this and see how bad the syrup is. Oh my god, that's sugary. Oh, fuck. When I think about all the potential ways that Daphne Bridgerton could have ended up pregnant when Simon didn't want her to have a baby, I go mildly insane. Because here's the thing. There are so many other options. Simon was using the pull-out method. That doesn't get everything. She absolutely would have gotten pregnant anyways, just because he was not being careful. She didn't know what was going on. And it's just, there are so many options. They could have had this huge fight because she's like, wait, you can have children, but you're choosing not to have children because of this. It could have been this great thing for his psyche where they start actually going over his trauma and understanding what happened to him as a child to make him think that this was the best way to get revenge on his father. There were so many options. And instead they decided that the only possible option, both in the book and the TV show, which changed the book to so many different degrees. It literally brought in characters that never existed in the book. Queen Charlotte, not in the book. Her hot young nephew, not in the book. And yet somehow, the one thing that they absolutely could not change in this friggin' series is the fact that Daphne assaults her husband. And it makes me so mad, because assault is used as a filler storyline for so many different TV shows when it absolutely doesn't have to be. It's the reason that I stopped reading the Outlander series. It's the reason that I hate watching so many different TV shows these days. I can't stand Chuck Bass because he assaulted how many girls before he finally got together with Blair, and then even let Blair by his creepy, gross uncle. So, like, I can't stand the fact that the number one way that Shonda Rhimes and Julia Quinn decided could be done to make it so that Daphne gets knocked up and she and her husband get into this huge fight, which is the climax of the season, is by having Daphne assault her husband. I will never forgive it. I will never be okay with it. I think about different ways that they could have written it so often, especially now that I'm doing a rewatch. Also, I had to take a pause from the rewatch because every time I see Freddie Stroma, I giggle. I giggle so hard. I giggle. So I had to stop, I had to pause, and also because I keep thinking about what's gonna come next, what's gonna happen next, and I have to stop, I have to pull back, my shoulders go up to my neck, and I'm just I can't, this is my anger anxiety face, so I'm very annoyed. I'm very annoyed, and I had to share it more. So thank you for agreeing with me, but also yes, but also thank you, but also, okay, bye. When Daphne Bridgerton was saying, I'm fine with us not having children because you can't have kids, what she was actually saying was, I am okay with taking the blame for the rest of our lives for us not being able to have kids. Because women were always blamed. Women were always blamed. And also, women were raised for one purpose. It was for marriage and for children, because women weren't actually treated as human beings. They were objects. They were property. They were literally property. You sign your name on the marriage line and you are legally considered dead. You are dead. You are your husband's property. You have kids. They belong to your husband. Little Woman speech. Little Woman Florence Pugh speech. Amy's speech. It's that. Thank you, Meryl Streep, for making that speech possible. Because Meryl was like, "Hey, Greta, you need to have this explained." Because people forget this. People forget that 100 years ago, women did not have the same rights that they had now. People forget that 50 years ago, women weren't allowed to have their own bank accounts. And I'm not yelling at you. I'm not yelling at you. I'm mad at the situation of the society that we live in. I'm not mad at you. And I would just like to make that clear. But the thing is, Daphne saying no to having children is Daphne saying no to the exact reason that she was raised and the thing that she wanted to do with her life, because the children would be who she spent most of her time with, even more than her husband, for the rest of her life until they go away and then she has grandkids. So I understand Daphne's obsession with wanting to have children because Daphne was raised. Now, obviously, I'm in no way defending what happens there, and I'm in no way defending the assault that takes place. But A, I still think that the assault should not have happened, and B, think that it's completely out of character. But C, I do understand where she's coming from with wanting to have children because it's so important to take into context the society that they lived in. Daphne, for the rest of her life, would be asked until she was an old maid, but she would never actually be an old maid because she'd still be married to Simon, would be asked, where are your children? Why haven't you have children yet? What's wrong with you that you can't have children? That's worrisome. You can't have kids? That's terrifying. How different from your mother you are, Daphne. So just take into context here the fact that women at this time period were only taught that they're supposed to be available to their husbands for one thing. And that they have to have husbands so that they can do that one thing, which is to become a wife and mother. And those terms were basically synonymous. So, not defending Daphne for the actions that she took, but for the fact that she expected to have children, and when she found out that her husband could actually have children and had been fucking lying to her, I'm on her side for being pissed. Not on her side for what happened. On her side for being pissed. Mad at the writers for why they decided that had to happen, but Julia Quinn has a fucking love of violence that I cannot stand at all, which is why I prefer Lisa Kleypas. But that's a different story for a different day. Okay, bye. Hi, I'm rereading the Princess Diaries series, and here's the thing: I haven't read the Princess Diaries series since I was like in my early 20s. Maybe. I think the last time I actually fully read it, but like all the way through, was when I was like 14 to 18 when the final book came out. But here's the thing. I always thought that Grandmere hated me as guts. Like not even secretly. I thought Grandmere just kind of despised the existence of Mia and was just training her to be a princess because that was Grandmere's job. And she signed on for it, and Mia signed on for it, and they signed contracts, and they're like, yeah, you're going to teach me how to be a princess, whatever. In the movies, Grandmere or Grandma is a much nicer person because the queen is played by Julie Andrews, and the entire story got changed because Julie Andrews was going to play the queen, so they killed off Mia's dad. And we're like, yep, you go, Grandmere, you're gonna be the grandma now, and you're gonna have a British accent for a reason we can't explain. Woohoo! But no, in the books, Grandmere is French. She's a French woman with tattooed on eyeliner. She's judgy of everyone. She's literally always smoking like a long Cruella de Vil style cigarette and drinking a sidecar and petting her furless dog, her dog who used to have fur but has such bad anxiety that he no longer has fur. And I always read these books going, wow, Grandmere just doesn't really like Mia because she's always pointing out Mia's flaws. But here's the thing. Grandmere is teaching Mia how to be a princess, and she's teaching Mia how to be a princess in like open view of the entire world because people are constantly filming and paparazziing her and like showing her off to the public. And B, you know who knows Grandmere better, or knows Mia Thermopolis better? You know who knows Mia Thermopolis better than anyone else in the entire 10-book series? 11 book series? There are a lot of books. Grandmere is the one who knows Mia best because Grandmere will be like, Mia, why are you lying to me right now? And Mia will go, I'm not lying. What are you talking about? And Grandmere will be like, when you lie, your nostrils flare. Stop lying to me. And Mia will go, how do you know that? And Grandmere's like, I know everything, Mia. Except she doesn't go Mia, she goes Amelia, in her French accent while smoking her cigarette in the Plaza Hotel. Also, if I had a nickel for every time that Julie Andrews played a character who lives in the, highest, penthouse, whatever, in the Plaza, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird to happen twice. I lost track of myself because I didn't mean to say that in this, but, anyways. Grandmere, will be like, Mia, your nostrils flare when you lie to me. Please stop lying to me. And Mia will have to tell Grandmere the truth, and Grandmere will be like, here's what you do. And her advice will always be wrong, but she will be the only one who actually notices that something is wrong with Mia and give advice, because Grandmere is the only one who is constantly paying attention to Mia in the first 7 books, because Mia's mom is busy being knocked up and then pregnant and then having a newborn baby, and Grandmere is with Mia literally all the time. And it's crazy to me because I didn't realize how much Grandmere absolutely adores Mia, but will never say it because Grandmere also wouldn't tell her husband that she loved him for the entirety of the time that they were married. She was absolutely nuts about this man who was the king of Genovia, and she would not say, hey, I love you, because she was trying to play it cool for 70 years. I love Grandmere. I love her. She's awesome. Okay, bye. Why is it that in Bridgerton we have these 2 mega star writers, Shonda Rhimes and Julia Quinn, who are both very famous for the works that they have created? We have two of them. And Julia Quinn, I think, was still pretty early in her work, but you know who wasn't early in her work when she started making Bridgerton? Shonda. Shonda literally left Netflix because Netflix decided not. Shonda literally left ABC because ABC was like, don't you have enough? I think you have enough. You want Disney tickets for free? I mean, sure, we give that to literally our lowliest workers, but we're not going to give it to you, Shonda Rhimes, because you have more than enough money to pay to go to Disney without us having to foot the bill, Shonda. God. So Shonda was like, I'm gonna go get a contract with Netflix and do whatever the fuck I want now, bye. And then she did, and then Netflix started paying her lots and lots of money, and they were like, Shonda, you can do literally whatever you want. Shonda, do whatever you want because we love you, we trust you, you're amazing. And she was like, I want to make a Regency romance into an actual TV show. I want a Regency romance that is a TV show. I want it to feel like a Regency romance, but it's gonna be a fucking TV show, and I'll base it off of these books by Julia Quinn. And Netflix was like, here's all the money that you could ever possibly want, Shonda Rhimes. And Shonda was like, gosh, gee, thanks. Anyways, in the first book, there is this really weird scene where the wife decides to assault the husband. For no reason. It's literally for no reason. Literally there's no reason behind it at all. It just happens. And I am gonna change everything else about the first book that I could possibly change including but not limited to the fact that in the first book, Daphne is a tomboy. She's one of the boys. She's one of the fucking boys. And in the show, she's the diamond of the season and everybody's supposed to want her. But in the book, no one wanted her specifically for the reason, not that Antony was ruining her life, but because she was just too much one of the boys. She was too much one of the guys for any of the guys to think of her as a fucking option. That was why Daphne couldn't get any in the books. So Shonda's like, I'm gonna change literally every part of that. I'm gonna make her only pursuer a creep instead. But the one thing I'm gonna keep the same, the only thing I'm gonna keep the same is that Daphne attacks her husband. She assaults him. That's what I'm keeping. I think that's a really great, brave choice. I mean, we're not gonna discuss the concept of how men are victims just as much as women. We are going to make Daphne seem like the victim and the hero. I hope everyone likes it, because this is obviously the only option that we have available, because I can't change too much of the book. I can't change too much of it. I'll change literally every single thing about it, except for that. I think in Bridgerton, Simon did not actually care to a certain extent if Daphne was safe. And do you know why? It's because when Simon compromised Daphne by following her through the maze, like very angrily, very harshly through the maze, and compromising her when the prince was about to propose, and she was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And then Simon banged her when Daphne still, again, cannot emphasize this enough, did not know what sex is. He ruined her. He ruined her in that moment. And it could have been safe. It could have been fine. It could have been all cool if Cassandra, or whatever the heinous blonde bitch's name with the fantastic hair, Cressida. If Cressida hadn't, like, caught them and been like, hi, I'm gonna ruin you. I'm gonna ruin your life. I'm gonna ruin your and your entire family's reputation. And I'm gonna do it with joy and vigor. If Cressida hadn't done that because she wanted the prince and thought that she'd get the prince if Daphne were out of the way, which she did not, then it would have been fine. But Simon did really ruin Daphne in that moment. He literally went, what's the best opportunity for me to get this girl the best possible guy ever? Oh yeah, I'll get her a prince, and then I'm gonna bang her and ruin her reputation. And then when that all comes out and Daphne's like, hey, we need to get married because Cressida found out, and I'm about to be fucking ruined for the rest of forever. Simon went, ooh, no, I'm not gonna marry you, because I don't want to. I wanted to bang you, I didn't want to marry you, because, like, you want kids, and I don't want kids, so I'm not gonna tell you I don't want kids, so I'm gonna tell you that I can't have kids. But also, the first thing I'm gonna do is, battle your brother at dawn. What? Because Anthony has been riling. Anthony, for the entirety of the first season, was riling. Not in the books, but in the show. Was riling. Was begging for somebody to fight. Was begging for somebody to just be like, ha. I'm starting to think of Hamilton and quote Hamilton, but the only one I've got is he points his pistol to this guy. Wait! So I'm not gonna, but anyways. Anthony's like, we are gonna battle at dawn, bitch. And Simon goes, yeah, absolutely, bet. Let's battle at dawn. And that will definitely protect your sister's future and life and everything if we battle at dawn because I compromised her at a ball. That's the choice here. That's the opportunity. I'm gonna do that for you. And then he does. And Daphne chases into this fucking thing at dawn on a horse, unaccompanied, and it's like, no, stop, wait. And she's like, Simon, just marry me. And Simon's like, I don't want kids. But he's like, I can't have kids. It doesn't work down there. I can't have them because he's a liar. And she's like, that's fine. I don't care. I just legitimately don't want you to die. And also, you are ruining my reputation either way, because women have it much harder than any man ever will at this time period. If you're in the ton, specifically if you're in the ton, I'm not saying all people at this time period. I'm literally just saying men and women of the same status at this time period. Women were gonna be ruined, men were gonna be fine. Okay, I want to make that clear before somebody decides to be like, how dare you? And then they get married, and then the assault happens, and I cannot emphasize enough that all of this does not make what Daphne did okay. I'm just discussing the context in the show, because I cannot emphasize enough that it was A, out of character, and B, stupid. stupid bad writing. That happened twice. If I had a nickel, it would be still fucking weird that they made to say that same decision twice. But anyways, Daphne and Simon get married, and it all seems well until Daphne figures out that Simon was hiding things from her. And that's when the assault happens, even though it could have been a really interesting conversation if, like, I don't know, he accidentally stayed in for too long, or she ended up pregnant anyway because the pull-up method does not work, or, like, she thinks that she's pregnant and she's, like, getting very excited, and then he's like, oh my god, no, this can't happen, oh no. All of these were better options that could have happened, and instead they did that. And I can't emphasize enough that this is a Regency romance, so when things like that happen in Regency romances, it actually feels like a betrayal of the author on the people reading the book, because when you read a Regency romance, you expect a certain level of, like, safety, because you're reading something that's supposed to be happy and joyful, and the cover's all pretty and everything's good, and then it was just assault, because Julia Quinn likes violence, which would be my next video at some point. But anyways, Simon did not give a shit if Daphne was safe, which was my entire point of this video. He did not give a shit. Maxi Pen! My mom's gardening. I should have put him in the greenhouse. Anyway, Simon did not give a shit. He did not give a shit if Daphne was safe. He just wanted himself to be happy and his dad to roll over in his grave and in hell and be looking up and be like, oh no, my son is ruining all this stuff that I built. But Simon did not. He did not care. He didn't. That's all. Thanks. Also, I look so good today. Just ignore my dog barking while you look at how pretty I'm so pretty. Okay, bye. This is honestly such an annoying and tired take, because a lot of people, when I discuss media dads being bad, will be like, you should see my dad. You should have met my father. And it's like, this is not a competition. Bad dads are bad dads in different ways. No two bad dads are the same. Literally, the first line of Anna Karenina is, all happy families are the same. All unhappy families are different. It's a completely different line. The full line is something slightly separate than that. But the point remains that you can have an unhappy family in a different way than another person's unhappy family, and it doesn't mean that you win some unhappy family competition if your unhappy family is a little worse than another person's unhappy family, because there's still going to be trauma involved in this. And when I discuss bad TV dads, I don't care if that bad TV dad is super fun. I don't care if that bad TV dad is sometimes nice to his kids and gives his kids money, because you know what else that bad TV dad does? Avoids his children, stops paying attention to his children, punishes his children in really aggressive, terrible ways to the point that the DCF could be called on him. Makes it so that life in that household is really difficult if he doesn't get his way. And just because he's not violent, just because he doesn't scream all the time, doesn't mean that he is a good dad. Just because Dre is sometimes nicer to his kids than Pops would ever be does not mean that Dre, who aggressively punishes his children and continuously lets them know that there is only a certain amount of love that he has to give to all of the children that they have, so if they step out of line, he'll just stop giving them that love, it doesn't make him a better dad than this guy. It makes him a technically less violent dad than this guy, but Dre is still a villain. Dre is still aggressively trying to be a terrible dad while proving that he's a great dad. But he's only proving that he's a great dad to the outside world, so you know who gets punished continuously inside where they can't talk about it? The kids. But Dre still gets points because he's a better dad than the dad that he had. And that's not... Hey, look at me. Listen to me with your ears and also with your eyes. We're doing full eye contact right now, no matter how uncomfortable, because if you had a bad experience growing up in your household, you don't need to justify it to me. You don't need to convince me that you had that bad experience. You don't need to convince me that one of your parents was a bad parent. I don't care if they were the fun parent. I don't care if they were the cool parent. I don't care how much they managed to mask it to everyone else in the entire universe. If you tell me that you had a bad experience growing up in your household, I'm gonna believe you.
because you don't need to justify why it was a bad experience. You don't need to justify that just because you grew up in a wealthy household or a poor household or your parent had worse parents than they were. None of it matters. It's about you, and it's about the fact that you had that experience. And I'm so sorry that you had it, and I'm so sorry that you have imposter syndrome for it. Your feelings are valid, and your feelings will always be valid. And it's okay to have those feelings. It is not your job to convince other people that you had this bad experience, because you shouldn't have to. This is not a Venn diagram. This is not compare and contrast. This is not math class where 2 + 2 equals anything other than 4. Because 2 and 2 are always the same numbers, even if the handwriting's a little different. I'm giving you a hug.
I saw challengers this weekend, and there will be spoilers in this review, but the main thing is, Zendaya was literally just playing tennis the entire movie. Was she playing tennis with people? Yes. But I don't know why people are trying to villainize her for that, including but not limited to Zendaya herself, okay? Because Zendaya, like, in interviews, acted like maybe Tashi Duncan was not the best person in the world, and, like, maybe she wasn't, maybe. But she just, like, she said exactly what she wanted the minute that those 2 little white boys met her, okay? She said, I just want to see some good tennis. She wanted to see some good tennis being played. And what did she do? She made sure that tennis got played not only on the courts, but full on, full forth in real life. Because everything that was happening between these 2 little white boys and Zendaya was tennis. They were the boys, she was the ball. Sometimes one of them would switch into being the ball. But like, this was literally just a movie where everything was watching a tennis match. And I feel like I'm not seeing enough people discuss this or talk about it. It's literally just a chess movie. Like, you know in chess movies how they end up playing chess the entire time, and the entire plot of line of the movie has actually been a chess match, and at some point somebody says checkmate in real life, blah blah blah. That's what this movie was, okay? That's what this movie was. Zendaya explained exactly what a fucking tennis match really was in the beginning. It was 2 people having a conversation. And in that moment, when you're like really playing tennis, you're not you, you're not that. Like, you're not you, they're not them. You're both just in a really amazing conversation playing tennis. And Zendaya made it so clear. And for the entire rest of the movie, she's trying not to be a homewrecker with these bisexual little baddie boys. But she, you know, is a homewrecker. But B, it's literally just a movie about a throuple who's trying to figure out their thing. And Zendaya, I would argue, is not one of the tennis players. She's not even fully the referee. I would say that she's kind of the ball, because who has more control in tennis than the ball? I would argue no one, because you can get the ball to do what you want for a second, and then you can't, because the ball's gonna go wherever the hell you want it to, and if it touches that little white line, it's in, or it's out, or it's in. I don't know, but I would argue that Zendaya was just a part of something bigger, and that something bigger was that she was playing tennis using the 2 boys who were madly crazy stupid in love with her for her amazing skill at tennis. I do wish that we had gotten to see her play tennis more before she lost everything to her knee injury, though, I will say. And I would also love to have known, like, what Art's injury ended up being and why he could get back, but then Zendaya couldn't. Like, I wanted to see so much more around her injury, and then we saw basically nothing around her injury, and the injury was, like, the biggest part of the entire movie. Anyways, okay, bye!
There needs to be a goddamn support group for all the bisexual women that look straight.
I could chop all my hair off. I could shave the sides of my head. I could shave my entire head, and I can guarantee people would still absolutely assume, good girl, yeah. People would still absolutely look at me and just go, that is a really great Audrey Hepburn pixie cut bestie. Wow, you look like Goldie Hawn in Private Benjamin, bestie. And there's really just no cure for looking straight when you're a bisexual hottie. There's no cure. There's no fixing it. Because sometimes you just have a straight face. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Colin Bridgerton was famous for many things. He was famous for his good looks, which was no surprise. All the Bridgerton men were famous for their good looks. He was famous for his slightly crooked smile, which could melt a woman's heart across a crowded ballroom, and had even once caused a young lady to faint dead away, or at least to swoon delicately, then hit her head on a table, which did produce the aforementioned dead faint. He was famous for his mellow charm, his ability to set anyone at ease with a smooth grin and an amusing comment. What he was not famous for, and in fact, what many people would have sworn he did not even possess, was a temper. And in fact, due to his remarkable and heretofore untapped self-control, no one was going to get a glimpse of it that night either, although his soon-to-be wife might wake up the next day with a serious bruise on her arm. "Colin," she gasped, looking down at where he was gripping her, but he couldn't let go. He knew he was hurting her. He knew it wasn't a terribly nice thing to do. He knew it wasn't terribly nice that he was hurting her, but he was so damned furious at the moment, and it was either squeeze her arm for all he was worth, or lose his temper in front of 500 of their nearest and dearest acquaintances. All in all, he thought he was making the right choice. He was going to kill her. As soon as he figured out some way to remove her from this godforsaken ballroom, he was absolutely going to kill her. They had agreed that Lady Whistledown was a thing of the past, that they were going to let matters lie. This was not supposed to happen. She was inviting disaster, ruin. And instead of being a normal person and getting a little mad at his fiancée in front of a party, he decided that the only right option was pretending to keep his cool by actively and aggressively holding her arm, knowing she would be bruised. Knowing. And in fact, he couldn't bring himself to feel badly about that because she brought it on herself. Because she disobeyed him. It's so great. But like also, why, Julia Quinn? Why?
Here's the thing, the biggest issue with the Bridgerton series is the excessive amount of violence that's used to try and drive the plot forward. Like, literally, Daphne Bridgerton assaults her husband to be able to get a baby the way that she wants, and then it doesn't actually produce a baby, which is good because, like, you know, that would be an assault baby, and no one wants to deal with an assault baby in a book because how much can you forgive anyone for that? But then her husband forgives her, and it becomes this entire thing where it's treated as if it's his fault. And did he lie to her? Yes, of course he did. He lied. But does that make it okay what she did? No. Would it be known that it's not okay what she did back in that time period? Also no. But are we going to ignore that fact for this? Yes, because it was still wrong. Okay? Like, there are things in time periods where you can look at it and be like, oh, well, for the time period, like, you know what? I see how this was written, I see why this is written, and I can understand this. But this was not actually for the time period. This was Julia Quinn writing these books in the 90s going, you know, it would be really fun. And then it wasn't. And there was also no reason for it because there were 1,600 things that could also happen in these books. And then we have Colin Bridgerton, like, actively grabbing his fiance at a party so hard that he knew that she would wake up with a bruise in the morning. And he was like, but it's for the best because at least he's not getting mad in front of people. He's just abusing her. He's not getting mad in front of people. And then we're supposed to forgive him for that because they have sex. Literally, we're supposed to forgive him for that because they bang and he saves the day and everything's wonderful. And I could actually write an entire thesis on how Julia Quinn definitely thought Colin Bridgerton was like Wesley the Dread Pirate Roberts from The Princess Bride. But I'm not going to discuss that now. I'm not, because what I am going to discuss is the fact that I'm not actually a huge Bridgerton person for the reasons that I have just listed. It's really hard for me to read Bridgerton, and I only read 2.5 of the books because every time I read the books I get to a part where I'm just like, and yes, I know that's 2 out of like 12, but still there's just so much violence for no reason and anger for no reason that it's very hard for me to read them. When I read my Regency romances, I like for there to be a formula, and I like for that formula to contain no violence. And if the formula does contain violence, I like the formula to have violence for a specific reason, and for the person who is violent to not be a romantic interest. And if the person who is violent has a romantic interest, I want them to have an actual, like, you know, coming around first. I want them to be changed. I want them to learn. I want them to grow. And if they're not going to learn and they're not going to grow, then I don't want that.
I think the craziest part of the Met Gala this year is that Israel's currently bombing the only part of Gaza they've said would be safe. So now, after months of people traveling to that part of Gaza, there is nowhere else to go. There is nowhere else for those people to find safety. And Israel's now bombing that part. And listen, like, I'm not saying people can't take breaks and find moments of joy or even distraction to sustain themselves during a time that feels really dark and devastating. But there is something about watching an entire evening dedicated to opulence and wealth, and knowing that not a single one of them will say anything about the violence and suffering that is happening as they walk that carpet. Just feels less whimsical maybe than previous years.
You guys need to stop asking people to speak out about Palestine. Not everybody wants to be involved in politics. You guys need to stop asking people to speak out about Black Lives Matter. Not everyone wants to be involved in politics. You guys need to stop asking people to speak out about Abu Ghraib. Not everybody wants to be involved in politics. You guys need to stop asking people to speak out about the Holocaust. Not everybody wants to be involved in politics. You guys need to stop asking people to speak out about the KKK lynchings. Not everybody wants to be involved in politics. You guys need to stop asking people to speak out about slavery. Not everyone wants to be involved in politics.
I'm not upset with people for commenting on Met Gala outfits. I'm not even upset with the people who went to the Met Gala. I could care less what millionaires and billionaires do. I can't afford to. The thing that makes my stomach turn is seeing videos and pictures from the Met Gala and videos of pictures of Rafah being bombed and finding out that aid was cut off from Gaza last night, and seeing a clear divide in who was sharing what. And the thing that makes me the most uncomfortable is that people are still using the excuse of not knowing enough or not having the bandwidth to share, or, oh, I don't keep up with current events. But you do keep up with current events. You just don't keep up with current events that don't matter to you. And I'm not asking people to abandon their interests. I think our interests are what keep us human. I'm asking you, and I'm imploring you, I'm begging you to reassess what you care about. You might sit up there and be like, oh, well, it doesn't actually affect me, so it's, hard to care about it, but it does affect you. The reason why you can't get free healthcare, the reason why you can't get your student loan debt forgiven, the reason why you can't get dental care, you can't get a tooth pulled or a root canal, the reason why it feels like no matter how much money you make, it's not enough, is because they're taking your money straight out of your wallet, straight out of your check, and stuffing it inside of bombs and dropping it on kids. That's the genuine truth. It does affect you. You can sit up there and say, well, I belong to an oppressed identity myself, and I have enough to worry about. And that's very true. And I'm really praying for liberation for all of us. But I want y'all to understand that oppression somewhere impacts oppression everywhere. The same systems that can justify obliterating and leveling entire towns, and obliterating and leveling entire cities, killing innocent people, making it seem like that is a part of what needs to happen in order to maintain some type of false idea of peace, when it's really just under the guise of imperialism and ownership of land. The same systems that are the reason why people in Gaza are fighting for their lives are the same systems that oppress you. They're the same exact one. In fact, in most instances, they're the same exact people. I just don't understand, what people's reasoning for having all of the energy in the world to get on the internet and talk about one thing, but then you don't have the bandwidth and the space to talk about another thing. And one of those things is people's literal lives of genocide. That's what I'm disappointed by. The world is always on fire, yes, but has the world ever even been on fire for you like that? I'm not here to be like, oh, this is the oppression Olympics, but come on, bro. We have to really open our minds, bro. None of us could ever even imagine what these people are going through. The least you can do is care. That is the very least that you can do, is care.
So there has recently been a big push on TikTok in pressuring creators to speak out on Palestine. I think this is a good thing. I think we need as many people with a big platform to be outspoken on this issue as possible. But one really common pushback I see to this comes in the form of people making videos and leaving comments like, why do you guys expect influencers to chime in on geopolitical events? And so I just wanted to say to anyone making those kinds of videos or leaving those comments right now, please, for the love of God, I'm begging you to shut the hell up. There is a literal ethnic cleansing, a genocide unfolding right before our very eyes, this is not the time for you to chime in with your hot take on the state of influencer culture. It's infuriating to see. And it's so infuriating because I actually am one of the creators who's working with Operation Olive Branch right now. I am trying to raise money for Abdullah, a 21-year-old Palestinian. He is desperately trying to raise the funds he needs to evacuate him and his family to Egypt, where his dad, who has chronic heart disease, can undergo a medically urgent catheterization surgery. And to speak to Abdullah every day and to every day hear about the horrors and tragedies he and his family have had to undergo, to hear him speak about what it was like losing his brother who was killed in the first 2008 war in Gaza, to hear him speak about what it's been like for him stepping up as the primary source of income, supporting his entire family because his dad has chronic heart disease and isn't able to work, to hear him speak about what it's like to see his father run out of time right before his very eyes because he has no access to the medical care he needs. To see the pictures of the rubble that was once his home, now destroyed by an Israeli airstrike, to see the pictures of the tent he lives in with 60 other people, to see the pictures of the firewood he and his family have to collect every day because they're living without any electricity or gas, to see all of that, and then to come on here and see someone chiming in with a hot take about the state of influencer culture as it relates to Palestine, it is infuriating. Which is all to say, please consider donating to Abdullah's GoFundMe. His link is in my bio. Please share with your friends and family. Get as many eyes as you can on Abdullah's story. He is genuinely just trying to save the life of his father.
The deep, burning desire in 2013 to be British is an experience I wish I could go back and have again, because I can't imagine feeling that way ever. But when I was 13, 3 of my favorite things in the entire world were Doctor Who, Harry Potter, and One Direction. I had internet friends from all over the world, and some of them lived in England, and I thought that they were so fucking cool just because they had British accents. I was like, I can't believe I know somebody with a British accent. This is insane. I would also write with the British spelling of all of the words because I thought it was way better than the American spelling of words. And then my teachers would get mad at me and be like, why are you putting U's in words that don't have U's in them and replacing A's with E's all the time? And I'm like, because it's just the better spelling because it's British. And they were like, well, that's not gonna fly with American spell check, I fear. One time in middle school, my best friends and I went to the mall and we spoke with British accents the entire time in the hopes that somebody would ask us where we were from so that we could answer with like a made-up English town. Like, what was with that entire phenomenon? I'll never get over the insanity of the number of celebrities in 2016 that would just boldly lie about the number of plastic surgery procedures they had. I know it still happens all the time, but in 2016, there was a lot less conversation about things like lip fillers and injections and Botox and all of those things. It was a lot less accepted generally for like general consumer. So when Kylie Jenner started getting her lip injections and fillers done, it was very obvious that she was having work done, but she was pretty adamant that the only thing she was having done was her lips. And on one hand, maybe it was kind of a good thing that she wasn't advertising all of these procedures that she was having done at a young age, because then a lot more young people would have gotten a lot more procedures at a young age. But it also meant that me, as a young, impressionable teenager who did not really yet know how to discern facts from fiction on the internet from influencers, because it was a very new thing, I thought that I could go from looking like this and this to this if I wore all of the right makeup products, and if I slept in a waist trainer, and if I followed a raw vegan diet, and if I ate those weird gummies they were always promoting on their Instagrams, or if I sucked on a shot glass or something. Now, it's super public knowledge that she's had a number of plastic surgery procedures, but at the time, in 2016, this was a hot topic of debate. I just can't believe that I truly believed as a teenage girl that if I achieved the right lifestyle and regimen for everything, that I could look like that. There's been a lot of conversation among women this week about whether or not they would rather be caught in the woods with a bear than a man. I grew up going to summer camp every single summer, and I have been reminded of one of the songs we sang around the fire every year. The other day, I met a bear in tennis shoes. a dandy pair. The other day I met a bear in tennis shoes, a dandy pair. He said to me, why don't you run? I said I don't see any gun. He said to me, why don't you run? I said I don't see any gun. The moral of the story is that you don't talk to bears in tennis shoes. A bear not wearing tennis shoes is totally fine. So if I had to choose between being caught with a bear and a man in the forest, I would most definitely choose bear. But if that bear was wearing tennis shoes, if the man was barefoot, then maybe it would be a fair fight, but I'm not sure. An addendum to the video I made last night about meeting a bear in the woods, wherein I remind you of the camp song that goes, the other day I met a bear in tennis shoes, a dandy pair. The other day I met a bear in tennis shoes, a dandy pair. He said to me, why don't you run? I said I don't see any gun. He said to me, why don't you run? I said I don't see any gun. And then the moral of the story is that you don't talk to bears if they're wearing tennis shoes. If the bear was not wearing tennis shoes, it would not have been perceived as a threat. The main character in this story did not fear the bear until they realized that the bear was capable of sentient thought. And it's only when the main character realizes that they're not in the woods with a wild animal, they're in the woods with a predator capable of intelligent thought, wearing tennis shoes, that they turn tail and get out of there. The fact that this is a bear the character is running from kind of takes a back seat to the fact that this is an intelligent bear, capable of logic and reason, wearing tennis shoes, on an intentional pursuit behind this person, when if they were a regular bear, there are ways to distract them and prevent them from pursuing you. And the whole point of the song is that you don't talk to bears wearing tennis shoes. If it's a regular bear, it's not really anything to be afraid of. But if there's a predator in the woods wearing tennis shoes on an intentional pursuit behind you, that is something to be very afraid of. And a regular bear is not going to do that. Something capable of logic, reason, and tying a tennis shoe would. I got the new viral toilet paper I've been seeing all over TikTok Shop. Run, don't walk to the TikTok Shop to get these new viral rubber bands. If you already bought this viral claw clip from the TikTok Shop, you're gonna be so pissed because now it costs less than 20 items from the dollar bin at Target. This new pheromone body oil from the TikTok Shop has solved the intimacy issues in my marriage and makes me smell like body odor. We all know that 40 is the new 30 and 30 is the new 20, which means 20 is the new 10, and you need this viral eye cream from TikTok Shop that makes you look like a prepubescent baby. Hi guys, welcome to a Get Unready with me featuring all of my favorite products, which are from a brand that's exclusively sold at a drugstore that I'm in far too high of a tax bracket to shop at. Run, don't walk, you guys. Run, you guys. Run faster. Drop whatever it is you have in your hands and sprint as fast as you can to the TikTok Shop. Tiptoe really quietly but really, really fast to the TikTok Shop. Scoot along the ground on your butt like a dog with worms to the TikTok Shop. Something about the advertising algorithm that I absolutely hate is when I purchase an item and then all of the advertisements I get after buying it are for that item. I just bought the item. Why are you advertising something to me that I just bought when I didn't get any advertisements for this product prior to purchasing it? I just bought an air purifier like a few weeks ago, and now every ad I get is for air purifiers. I just bought an air purifier. If you had advertised that air purifier to me 3 weeks ago, I probably would have bought that air purifier because I would have seen it when I was actively looking for one. But now, I don't need an air purifier anymore, so why are you telling me to buy one? If my phone is actually listening to me all the time, if it's actually eavesdropping on all of the conversations I have, then my advertisements need to actually be relevant to what I want right now. Like, you know what my boyfriend and I have been talking about constantly for the last several weeks, every day? Getting a new mattress, because our mattress is a dud and we need a new one. I haven't gotten any ads for any mattresses, and I've been speaking into my phone. Give me ads for mattresses that would be relevant to what I'm looking for right now. No mattresses. None. I'm telling you what to advertise to me, because I'm telling you what would be relevant to my interests. Things that I would click on and purchase because they're things that I'm looking for. I need a mattress. Advertise mattresses to me because when I look them up on Google, none of them are relevant because it's all AI generated. So I'm counting on my ads, which are supposed to collect all of my data and listen to me and eavesdrop on me and listen to my thoughts, to advertise things that I actually need and want to purchase. And what am I getting? An air purifier that I already bought. A coffee maker that I already have. Another water bottle. When I was a teacher for 5 years and I got a water bottle from every single parent as every single gift for every single teacher appreciation week I ever experienced. I have too many water bottles. Stop telling me to buy more water bottles. Sell me a mattress. Show me a mattress that I will want to buy.
I know it can be easy as a content creator to feel like nothing you do or say is ever really going to make that much of a difference in the world. But if even a fraction of the people who follow me were able to donate $1 to this GoFundMe, we could make a huge difference in at least one family's life. This is Dr. Hisham, and he's trying desperately to get his baby and his wife out of Gaza, and they've only gotten a couple of donations in the last couple of days. You can find the link to this GoFundMe both in my Linktree and at the Operation Olive Branch spreadsheet, which is also in my Linktree. And if you haven't checked out the spreadsheet yet, I would highly encourage you to do so. There's tons and tons of people on there in desperate need of support. And I know it can be kind of a big ask to come onto the internet and ask people to donate money to something, but I wouldn't be talking about this if it wasn't of the utmost importance. This is something that's happening in our world right now. These are people who currently, actively, as we speak, desperately need help. And this is one of the very few ways that we're actually able to tangibly offer it. And if you can't donate right now, even just sharing the word, making sure people know where to find these links, can make an enormous difference. I've been seeing a lot of videos about the literacy crisis happening in America right now and how many kids are just being pushed on to the next grade even if they don't understand what they've been taught. And I didn't have issues with learning how to read, so that was never an issue for me, but math was a huge problem for me. And now that I'm older, I know that I have dyscalculia, which makes basic math tremendously difficult for me. But all of my time in the school system, I had no idea. But because I was able to compensate for my bad math grades in my other classes, I was just pushed forward to the next grade every year. But I was never put in a developmentally appropriate math class. I would just be moved on to the next level of math when I hadn't even comprehended a single thing that happened in the previous unit. And I was very visibly struggling. I had terrible math grades. But as long as I did all the assignments and stuff, I could still move on even if I tested really poorly and clearly had no understanding of how to do the math I had been taught. And I see the consequences that this has had on my life every single day because I'm 24 and I'm having to relearn basic math because I'm behind. I couldn't even keep a customer service job because my basic math skills were so bad I couldn't count change. And reapproaching learning these basic skills as an adult is really intimidating. Like, all of my friends learned this when we were like 7 years old. Why don't I know how to do this? Like, we're gonna see a lot more people really struggling as they are pushed through the school system with no understanding of the concepts they've been supposedly taught. Like, I don't even really know what the point of this video was, but this is clearly an ongoing problem in schools all across America. And it was happening when I was going through school. Like, I was pushed through the school system, but it seems to be happening on a much larger scale now. And it's worrisome, to say the least. Like, something's gotta change. I don't know how, but it's gotta. The question of whether or not you would rather be in the woods with a man or a bear was never framed to be a would you rather scenario. The question is, why would we choose a bear over a man if we were approached by one in the woods? It's definitely not because a bear is less deadly than a man, but if I was approached by an aggressive bear in the woods, at least I know what would probably happen to me. And I'm not sure why we're still debating over which one is preferable when we are watching a genocide happen, unfolding on our screens before our eyes. A bear is not capable of evil, even if it's dangerous, the way that a human might be. However, the really good thing about being a human and not being a bear is that you can also do a lot of good. And if you would like to do some good, you can help a lot by sharing this video and letting people know that there are links in my bio that you can go to directly support families who are trying to flee Gaza right now. There you can find the link to the Operation Olive Branch spreadsheet with all of the families that have their GoFundMes linked, as well as a GoFundMe that I've directly linked to help Dr. Hisham and his family escape Gaza. Even if you're unable to donate, all of the money that I make from this video is going to be donated to GoFundMes from Operation Olive Branch. So if you're unable to give, just hit some buttons, drop your favorite flavor of ice cream in the comments. Even if you don't have anybody to share this with, you can still copy the link. And thank you so much to everybody who has continued to help and spread awareness about everything that's going on right now.
Unfortunately, I think it's time to give up dating nerds and to start dating himbos, because I just can't do nerds anymore. Like, they either don't want to like talk to me about the media because they think like I'm too hot, like cute, too pretty, and I don't know what I'm talking about, because men sometimes, nerdy men sometimes can't understand that a girl can be like pretty and nerdy at the same time. Like, they think that girls who are pretty are just pretty, where it's like, I was a nerd before I was pretty. Like, I grew into this, you know? Like, I was always a nerd, and then I just had a glow up, basically. Or, like, because I hyperfixate and I consume so much of the media where, like, I need to know every little thing about everything, they get intimidated because I know a lot more than them. So then it's like I'm teaching them about said media or thing or whatever versus them teaching me. And I notice a lot of nerds, they don't want you to, like, they don't, like, the nerds are always like, oh, I want a nerdy girl, but it's like, they don't want a nerdy girl so they can talk about this thing with, and you both can share, like, whatever you like about the media together. You just go back and forth with your knowledge and just have, like, combined knowledge. No, they want a girl who isn't, like, who is into nerdy stuff, but who isn't really nerdy. Everyone loves a mean girl until it's Penelope Featherington. Now suddenly, oh my gosh, she's such a terrible person, she's such a nasty girl, I just don't like her. But any other time there's a mean girl, y'all be eating it up. Any other time there's a mean girl in a TV show, she'll do heinous crimes and y'all be eating it up. But Penelope Featherington, and suddenly, all of a sudden, y'all got morals and y'all care about what characters, fictional characters, are doing. What? Like, people not wanting to watch, like, you can not want to watch it all you want. I really don't care. I just think it's so crazy that people are like, yeah, I don't want to watch this season because I don't like Penelope or whatever. First of all, let's not play with Shonda Rhimes, okay? She's going to make y'all fall in love with Penelope. She's going to make y'all fall in love with Colin. Let's not doubt her. Like, let's not forget how Anthony was in season 1. He was heinous, and them sideburns were not doing for it. His season come along, not everybody loves Anthony. The sideburns are gone. He forgot what I was talking about because I got a call. But another thing I wanted to add is that another reason why people don't want to watch it, because it's like unrequited love, in the sense that the girl is the one that's in love with the guy. And like, yeah, it's unusual because we usually get like guy falls first, but in this one we got girls falls first. And I don't know about y'all, but in real life, I've had experience liking a guy and him not liking me back. And it's like, but if you read the book, then you'll know that Colin has liked Penelope back this whole time. His thing is that he never realized that that's like, that would love, like, the love that you feel towards Penelope, that he feels towards Penelope, isn't like friendly. Like, he has always felt like such strong feelings for her that he just thought like that's how you're supposed to feel towards friends. And if you read the book, you wouldn't know that. Okay. Also, I love the plotline idea for season 3, like the whole like helping her find romance, and then the jealousy. I love jealousy scenes in romance. The jealousy scenes are about to eat. I'm so excited. Like, I am Penelope Featherington's biggest fan. Like, I'm so happy. You know what would make me even happier? If they threw in a Black Sophie, that would just butter my biscuit like very well. But I'm excited nonetheless.